Breaking news, major fears of the war in Iran widening in a very significant way tonight after a suspected Iranian drone struck an Egyptian port with 2 ships set on fire as a result of the strike. It is the first time Egypt has been targeted in the war, and no one's actually claimed responsibility yet. But the Iranian foreign minister is now speaking out, claiming that everyone must, quote, be vigilant against Israeli plots and false flag operations. And Saudi Arabia, for the first time in the war, is now joining the U.S. in a strike against Iranian-backed militias in Iraq, as President Trump is facing growing anger over his war at home. An anonymous group of artists mocking Trump's handling of the conflict, placing a 10-foot-tall participation trophy in his hometown of New York. Kareem Sejgadebor and retired Air Force General Colonel Cedric Layton are with me. I appreciate both of you. So, Kareem, can we just start with happening here in Egypt? Targeted for the first time in the conflict. Obviously, the coded message from Iran is it could be false flag operation of Israel, but what they're saying obviously doesn't mean anything one way or the other. How big is this war getting?
Well, Aaron, one of Iran's objectives since the 1979 revolution has been to try to kick America out of the Middle East. And one of the original sins of Lebanese Hezbollah 40 years ago during the Reagan administration was their attack on U.S. Marine barracks. And 4 months later, President Reagan pulled out. We saw a few years ago the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan. So certainly that has been a broad objective of the Iranian regime. And I think they're prepared to go after U.S. forces virtually everywhere in the region now.
I mean, Colonel Layton, it's an incredible thing to think about this. You know, 5 months ago, 6 months ago, to say that Iran was prepared to go after U.S. forces anywhere in the region, nobody would have believed that we'd be here, but yet we are. How worried are you at this moment that the U.S. and Iran are close to a full-blown war again? And I don't even want to use the word again, because it could be much bigger even than what we saw before.
Yeah, it certainly could be that way, Aaron, and I'm quite concerned. The way in which the Iranians have moved forward and, basically used their philosophies that they've been espousing, for those 47 years that Kareem mentioned, it is very, very important to know that the Iranians really do have that goal in mind. And they are basically using better weapon systems than they had before. And that's really the key thing here. They're getting much closer to being not only more accurate, but to hitting things that are, much more lethal and much more important as far as the U.S. is concerned. The loss of an AWACS plane at Prince Sultan Air Base, those kinds of things become really important, especially when you add them up. And I think the Iranian effort is, clearly designed to kick us out of the region if they can.
So, Kareem, it's been 152 days since the Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei was severely injured in the strike that killed his father. He has not been seen in public, not one single time since that strike, not since he became the Supreme Leader and not in the weeks prior to that. Okay, so I know you've been talking to people in Iran, senior leaders of other countries in the region who obviously have the best intelligence there is about this situation, about, at this point, asking the question again, whether he's alive or not. What are you hearing?
So, Aaron, not only have we not seen Mojtaba Khamenei, but we haven't even heard a recording of his voice since he was named Supreme Leader. And this is the most important question, and it's a question we don't have the answer to. Who is the most powerful person now in Iran? What is Mojtaba Khamenei's state? Is he even alive? I've spoken to senior officials in the Gulf who are actually growing skeptical about whether or not he's alive. In Iran, it's a political culture which lionizes what they call living martyrs, people who have overcome assassination attempts. And they say, listen, if the guy was injured, it would be a badge of pride for him to appear before the cameras injured and a wounded warrior. I know Prime Minister Netanyahu has opined that he's also alive. But what is important, and I've heard this from senior U.S. officials, they say in their meetings with some of their Iranian counterparts, those Iranian counterparts will actually say Mojtaba Khamenei is not the most powerful man in Iran right now. So, as I said, that's the most important question and a question we don't have an answer to.
Yeah. I mean, Colonel, it is pretty incredible that we can't answer the question of who's the most powerful person in Iran when the U.S. is at war with the country. I mean, it is a stunning situation and hard to really comprehend. But then the other thing that Kariim is saying, I mean, there's been months of reporting, actually some of it in great detail, Colonel, about, well, Muqtada Khamenei is severely injured and his face was disfigured and that's why he's not in public. And they've got all these couriers going back and forth to give him information. I mean, what does it say to you that even senior people in the region are now having the conversation again about whether any of that's even true and whether he's even alive?
Yeah, certainly it points to a real opaqueness within the Iranian system. And I think what you're looking at here is, it's quite possibly true that he may no longer be among us. And if Muqtada Khamenei is not among us, then it tends to lead one to believe that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps or a force that is aligned with the IRGC is actually running things. And if it's a collective leadership, then it becomes important from an intelligence perspective to know who those people are and whether or not they can be divided, if there's any division among them. Where they don't agree on certain matters. But failing knowing that, if we don't know that, then it becomes really a critical element, really a blank space within our intelligence picture at the moment.
And of course, to put the obvious on it, it's ridiculous to talk about doing a major deal to end a war with a country when you actually don't know who you're talking to, which some in this administration at the highest levels had admitted they don't know for sure. But this is it's really stunning.